Konnichiwa, my name is Logan Charles Luna, and this video is going to be a art supplies haul video. I don't know, but recently I've gotten some new art supplies, and there's a few things that I also got that I just felt is kind of repetitive because they're things I always get, like the Spectrum Noir markers. I got a few of those. There are these right here. The Illustrator markers for Spectrum Noir, and this one is Ice Green GT1. Now, I got several of those individually because I didn't feel like buying a whole pack if I just wanted 2 or 3 from select packs, so I just bought 8 of them individually. And I also picked up some Kuretake art supplies. Now, Kuretake is a company that's been around since 1902, and my go-to brush pen with Kuretake is this brush pen right here, and I think I have a spare that I also got. Yeah. And this is the Kuretake Bemoji brush pen. And on the back here, it's just like a bunch of kanji. I can only read about 1/8 of the kanji that's written on the back of here. Yeah, my Japanese has not improved at all in the last 2 years. It's at times I feel like I've gotten worse at Japanese, but all right. So it's got a special grip and it's a fine one. And yeah, you can see that little rubber grip right there. The handle is bamboo and it is quite fine. I can get, I'd say, a 0.5 or 0.3 line out of this. And usually with that, I'm using as reference these Sakura Microns. Yeah, these Micron pens. I've been kind of using these for finer details, but now I have some new stuff that will maybe replace them. So I'm not like a brand loyalist when it comes to anything, like anything. I just want what works best for me and what kind of helps me improve on certain things where I'm lacking when it comes to art supplies. So over the last 3 years, I've really been into Kuretake art supplies. Although, as you just saw, I still work in some microns, and I also have these jelly rolls. And I also use some of these Uniball pens. And a new thing that I've been really into have been these Pentel gold and silver ink brush pens. Now, the gold and silver ink, I've used it in some of my recent fan artworks. So you can see on my social media if you like the way it turned out or not, or if you feel like I still need to work on how I use these pens. But other than the usual suspects, which is this and this brush pen, I really do get a lot of mileage from these brush pens, and I usually buy them in packs of 3. However, for whatever reason, I think they were just out of stock. I was unable to get the packs of 3, so I had to get a few of these separately. I actually got this one in a pack that came with this one. Now, this isn't a gray or a white ink. This is just the same black ink as before, only the barrel's different because it's a finer tip than usual. So with these Kuretake brush pens, there's the little barrel right there where you could see how much ink is left in the pen. You see the ink flow through it. So also picked up this other Kuretake brush pen. So this is a dual-ended one. And the dual-ended one has a brush hard tip and a soft brush tip. And this one is kind of more like a new thing I want to try out. And mainly I just want to see if it's going to compare to the brush pens I've used before, or if it's something that I want to work in, like this one. So this is the Cambino Kuretake brush pen, and this one's mainly used for calligraphy or kanji, but I've been using this one in my artworks, and I like how it works. I like the fine tip of it, and how surprisingly I can get some good coverage when I'm inking darker areas in. And when it comes to inking and just filling in a lot of the spots that are just usually blank with black and contrasting the image, I really do go to this Kuretake brush pen a lot. It's one of those brush pens where if you squeeze the barrel, more of the ink comes out. So you do have to be careful when you're holding it and when you're using it. And definitely a few times in the past and recently, in one of the artworks that I've been working on for my nostalgia anime manga series on my social media, I have messed up the face because while attempting to draw the hair with this brush, I've squeezed the barrel and just had a lot of ink just fall through. And that's not good. So I definitely need to learn how to get a better handle of controlling this brush pen, but also how to just fill in certain spots right and not get any of those big messes anymore. Speaking of which, I feel like for some of those, I can just use this. So this is going to be a similar model to the last brush pen that I used and showed you in this video right now, but this one has white ink in it, and this one's generally used for highlights, and also it's a water-based pigment. So a lot of these Kuretake brand pens are water resistant, and these mangaka pens are from the Zig Kuretake sub-brand or whatever it is. But yeah, so Zig is a thing by Kuretake that's specifically made for illustrations. And I've been using these other ones that come in these 3-packs for a while now. And I feel like they might take out my original Sakura Micron fine liners, because I'm really liking these, and they don't smudge like at all when I'm using alcohol markers or the occasional watercolor. They're really resistant to it, and there's not that much mess when I erase, because I do a underline drawing, pencil drawing, and usually for my erasers I'll have this Prismacolor eraser, this kneaded eraser that is also Prismacolor. And recently I've been using this, I have no idea how to say this because my German is even worse than my Japanese, if you could believe that. Statler, I don't know. But yeah, I've been using this eraser also. I got this in a 3-pack, so this is a new one. And yeah, so this Mangaka 1 is definitely more for fine lines and rendering, cross-hatching, whatever you want to call it, shading. And then this one is more for getting the lines on the side, you know, doing bold outlines. And it is flexible. So it kind of works like a brush pen instead of a regular, just kind of bold, fine pen. And now we get to this, because I got some more Moleskine sketchbooks because I just kind of burned through these. Some of them I burned through them simply because I'm doing practice sketches in them. Some of them is because I do some of the artworks and fan artworks that I post on my social media, and the ones that I would be posting on Patreon if anyone signed up. So here's one of the Moleskine sketchbooks that I've been using, and this one isn't necessarily the standard paper they use for their sketchbook. It's just a blank notebook. I really like the cover, and if you can see the cover, there's some cherry blossoms on the top. So you open it and it has the standard Moleskine stuff, and the page, I left this one blank. So here's some anatomy stuff. And recently with this one, I've been dating them right there on the top. So yeah, I've just been kind of going through some warm-up sketches using the Micron pens and working with that. Some more warm-up sketches. This, I feel like I've done better on this sketch of the bone structure of a hand than I have before. And it's definitely one of the better hands that I've drawn. Still struggle with hands, still struggle with so many things. But now getting down to the nitty-gritty of it is this new sketchbook. So this is not a Moleskine sketchbook or a speedball sketchbook like the ones that I usually get. This sketchbook is a Buke. I don't know how you say it. It's in the same model as the Moleskine sketchbook, where it's a hardcover sketchbook, and it has this feather, this quill. It's the pen, and mainly this company makes like journals, but they did have this one art sketchbook, and I wanted to try it out. So it has these 3 ribbons right here as kind of dividers and separators. And when you open it, it's just a blank page. Just blank page. The paper is kind of smooth. It's not necessarily like the standard drawing paper I'd use, or it's not any watercolor paper I've used before with some of these notebooks. The paper is actually kind of light. I'd say it's 24-pound paper. It's a little heavier than the usual one, but yeah. And I feel like this is going to be my first actual page on the sketchbook. And the other 2 pages I'm going to be using for, I guess, swatching, seeing if anything actually, like if anything goes through any of these, like any of the pens or markers that I use. But yeah, so to end this video, go follow my social media for artworks, fan art, and a whole bunch of other stuff. Like, I'm gonna have you vote, because again, I don't have any patrons, so there's no point in doing a Patreon poll yet if I don't have any patrons. So I'm just gonna do an old one on social media, mainly Twitter and Instagram. Those are like the only social medias that I still use. So yeah, what should be the first page of this new sketchbook? That's gonna be up to you guys to decide. I'm gonna give you, I say, 3 options. One of it is just gonna be, I'm not gonna do any anime fan art because I'm doing that on my other sketchbook and with my series that I'm doing on my social media pages. So definitely something interesting. I'll definitely have a fan art option, but yeah, let me know in the comments, because I might take suggestions from the comments as well if there's not a really high turnout on the polls I put up. But let me know in the comments if you guys want to have an influence on the first page of the sketchbook. My name has been Logan Charles Luna. This video has gone on for far too long. Sayonara.